Fauzan and Baji. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Davis. I'm a third year student of Electrical Engineering in UI. And today I'm going to present you about my work practical report with the title of Ruby on Rails language usage for back-end development of mobile software. So before we start discussing on how the work practical is, company that I work with is PT Solusi Mudah Indonesia. So it's a startup company that helps small to medium enterprises to gain better financial knowledge. They have an app called Mudah, so it's named after their own company. The app itself has financial so the app gives financial management system to the users, and from what I've heard, there's a plan on using an artificial intelligence to be implemented on the app itself. And this app targets the app is targeted to small medium enterprises, and the users sum up to 51 million businesses in Indonesia. And my internship lasts around from 1st February to 23rd March 2021, and focuses on learning Ruby on Rails. so so my internship there was on software was being a software engineer. It was done like 50% work from home and 50% work from office. And as you can see here, it was the timeline is divided to 4 quarters. So in the first quarter, we learned the basic materials of Ruby on Rails and Authenticator project. In the second quarter, we practiced more complex structures of Ruby within an online hosting service. In the third quarter, we conducted the utilization of Bootstrap, pipeline, and navigation. And lastly, we added user database and validation. So in this internship, the selected programming language is Ruby on Rails for back-end software engineering. As you all may know, in electrical engineering of UI, students learn C language for programming courses. For example, it's algorithm and programming, while Mudah interns learn Ruby on Rails. There's actually Ruby on Rails and C are very different, because we learn in electrical engineering, students learn C because it's very easy, and a lot of people use it. But Ruby, it's definitely target for startups instead of students. Why? Because there are 3 indicators here: the code compilation, macros, and size of array. In Ruby, the code compilation is unnecessary. Macros is absent, and the size of array increases with more element put into it. Meanwhile, C is just opposite of it, which makes Ruby itself much easier to be. Actually it's a bit more difficult to be used, but it operates much more faster, and the iteration is can be a lot more than C, right? And let's see what the backend means. So the backend refers to the server side of a website. It saves and organizes data while also ensuring that everything on the client side of the website functions properly. It is the section of a website that you are unable to view or interact with. It is a part of the software that has no direct touch with the users, right? So you cannot. So basically, the backend is part where it stores data. You can't just access the data right away. So the back-end framework with Ruby on Rails contains a few complex points that no developer should overlook. When all of them are merged, the development time is reduced and the process is more efficient. Hence, it is more preferred to be used by startups. The first quarters, in turn, learn the basic materials of Ruby on Rails and given with an Authenticator project. So as you can see here, there's a code that we made a while ago. So here up above, there's the list of users. This is just a proxy. So Mark, Vice, Arya, Sean, and John with their own passwords. So this is basically just an array with two classes of elements, which is the username and password. And then here we have def auth user, which defines the function. And then there's list of users do app and then do user record. This defines the argument block. And the third, and here we can see there's an if function. So it's just input comparison. This is just to make sure that when the user inputs their own username and password, it belongs to the database that exists. Then here in below, this is just user-friendly output. So it will puts is basically just print, right? So it's just the message will display like welcome to the authenticator, and then there's a long hyphen to separate the authenticator and the text messages from the program itself. And here there's gets.chum. Gets.chum is basically just user input. So you can just type in having whatever you want. And of course, like any other apps, do we also put a limit user temp? So there's only maximum. So the temp here will increase 1 if they put in wrong record. Right. So in the second quarter, interns practice with more complex structures of Ruby within online hosting service. Here we made a group production. So in this part, we focus more on the how to make this, how to make our programs to an online hosting service. Right. So first of all, we need to install all the required materials to be put to the group production. So it's like SQLite 3 and by bugs, just to make sure that there are no bugs found within the system itself. Then we make a group production. We save those gem files, then we just run bundle install. So all this will change into the Git repo. But of course, after we do that, we need to make a Heroku account. Heroku is Heroku is an online hosting service platform that that is easy to use, and it has an extensive library. So you can just type in Heroku in the input terminal, and it will list out all the comments you need. And to deploy to Heroku, you just need to use git push Heroku master, push to GitHub repo. You only need to type in git push origin master. Meanwhile, when putting our application in production, of course, there are several procedures that need to be followed. First of all, it's verify the gem file, issue the following command in terminal, which is bundle install, double hyphen without production, then make a commit of code, git add and git commit, right? Okay, then in the third quarter, interns conducted the utilization of Bootstrap, pipeline, and navigation. So first, we need to install the Bootstrap and asset pipeline here. So Bootstrap is a file required to style. It's a file required to install the stylings of how the user interface will be. Okay, so here's the code, and then here are the command lines needed to install Bootstrap into Rails. Okay, and then by using these next 3 commands, it allows Bootstrap to be used in Ruby programs. But you have to note that the code can be uploaded to by Bootstrap, but the database itself cannot be uploaded. But the database it would have to be new. It cannot be linked it cannot be linked from local to online. Okay, in the third quarter, so here just the second part, we learn a bit on HTML. This is just the formatting of navigation bar. So it gives what are the options of this navigation bar, and what the color will be, and what will the items be, when the navigation bar is dropped down. And then, of course, we also allow search by the navigation bar written here. Okay, so in the final quarter, interns added user database and validation. So the core idea behind feature branch workflow is that all the feature development should take place in a dedicated branch instead of a main branch. This encapsulation makes it easier for multiple developers to work on a particular feature without disturbing the main code base. It also means that the main branch will never contain a broken code, which is a huge advantage for continuous integration environments. So here we just need, so it's like, probably the closest example to this is MATLAB. So you know that MATLAB codes can link from one to another. I learned this in modeling and simulation, which was we created a backpropagation file, and that needed 3 MATLAB code files. So this is just how it is. It's better to branch a certain function in a different file instead of putting everything into one file, because uh, it's going to be harder for the developers to revise or review their own code. So just it's better to be to make a branch out of it. So first we create the feature branch, and you can also create a feature branch with a desired name. And this is to move to a master branch. This one is to move to an already created branch. Now this one is to import the database, while the last one is to classify the data. So in this second part, we can also import the user data and create a table out of it. This one is to define the class of user model. And this command lines is to add a new username and password while checking the list of database. So it allows so this part is not for authenticating. It's like for new users to sign up instead of log in. And then the system here will check if the email or if the email has already existed before in the database. So if so, then it will be denied. But if it's still available, then yeah, the new email will be a new account will be created based on the email put in. Okay, and then here in the third part, we can add a bcrypt gem. So this allows for the to crypt passwords input by new users and the existing ones too. It's to This is like just the basic step to prevent any leak passwords from the back end. And then has secure password is to add a secure password to user model. And then by using this command, it creates a migration file to add the password. And this command is to fill the column details within the def change. Fourth one is to add password to a couple of existing users and verifying them with authentication method. And lastly is just for authentication testing. It's like just to test if the new user can log in or not. So I guess that is all from my presentation. Thank you for your attention and your time. So if you have any questions or suggestions, please ask right away. Thank you.